Where were you on the 17th of March, 2021 at exactly 3:15 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time? Think back. Think in your little noggin there. Think way back to where were you when James Crowley dropped this bombshell of a Newsweek article attacking the underground Birds Aren't Real movement, triggering weeks of backlash, threats, and Instagram stories. And if that sounds like a whole bunch of just
sounds like a lot of hoopla,
well, you should pack your bags because we're going on a nice little knowledge flight. The Birds Aren't Real movement is exactly that. It's a conspiracy theory that has hit the mainstream in the past couple years, suggesting that birds, as we know them, are not real. They're government drones set to spy on the general public. Now, if you have the same exact thoughts as me, which I'm sure you do, you're thinking, wait, I had a pet bird. They have to be real. And I'm like, yo, that's what I'm saying. Actually, I was digging through some family photos recently and I found this. This is a photo of me and my sweet little baby bird that I named him Josh Peck. And it makes me so sad because that's my little pecker, you know? Some people have compared this movement to that of the Flat Earth Society, stating that it kind of teeters the line between reality and comedy, but that's up to you as the viewer to decide. Before getting into the articles, let's dive into the movement itself, like one of those birds that dives for its fish. Not remembering the name, let me look 1 second. Okay, there's a couple of them. I'll let you pick which one you want to be. I'm going to pick the European shag because then I can finally get shagged and ruffle some feathers, you know?
Welcome to Bird History in 3 easy steps. Step 1.
It all began in 1946 when government accountability was at its lowest after a rampant rise of nationalism. Harry Truman implemented the Bird Drone Initiative in an effort to prevent another world war from happening. He introduced the forced extinction process, which coincidentally is step 2. This was a very dark time in American history, when the US government committed mass bird genocide over the course of 50 years. This ended in 2001 with the Patriot Act, legalizing bird drone surveillance in the fine print. As the real birds were being killed off, the drone copies of them were being simultaneously leaked into the real world. This was the 3rd step.
The reason they decided to take out peckers big and small, the reason they decided to kill all the birds is because they got tired and annoyed with constant aerial fecal attacks from above. AKA, they got really annoyed with the birds shitting on their cars. I know it may seem incredibly unrealistic and petty for the US government to sanction mass bird murder because a couple of the CIA bosses got their cars shit on, but honestly, the US government has been really petty before, so it's not that far out of reality for them to do something like this. Maybe not to this extent, but they're petty. They are petty bitches.
Prank, baby!
The story of how the birds were actually taken out is super convoluted and detailed, but basically, it was a mixture of specially equipped B-52 bombers dropping poison on the birds from overhead, and a specifically built Turkey X-500 robot killing from the ground. While officially restarting in 2017 online with their Instagram, their website, and their merch store labeled activism gear, the movement as we know it today started to spread its wings in July of 2019 when this billboard went up in Memphis, Tennessee. In that same month, we meet this man. This is Peter McIndoe. We meet him through this monumental interview with WREG News Channel 3. I have dyslexia. In this interview, Peter the anti-tweeter states his case for the cause against 2 anchors, which one, I assume, is named Deborah.
So this is really satire. I mean, you don't really believe that happened, correct? This is a satirical campaign to make the point that what? You're looking at me like, no, it's not satire. I really do believe this.
Honestly, it's kind of offensive.
Okay.
This month was massive for both the movement and the globe, so I have taken the creative liberty to call it the month of You Lie. But I'm not going to tell you if that's directed at the government or the movement, so you feel free to use that accordingly. As the movement started gaining traction, we saw more and more interest from the general public, like this totally one-off, just super original tweet about the lock-in being enforced so the government can change the batteries in the birds, which was debunked by an official statement from Peter himself. Check and mate, you toxic Twitter community. you.
Hey guys, just coming on here real quick to address some posts we've been seeing which are suggesting the government is using this time period, this quarantine time, to replace the batteries in bird drones while everyone's in their houses. This virus is really serious, guys. It's really not the time to be spreading misinformation on the internet. So as the official movement, we figured it was our responsibility to come on here and set the record straight. The government is not changing out bird drone batteries during this quarantine because birds are rechargeable. Birds charge on power lines. Bird drones don't have conventional batteries like we're used to, okay? These are advanced cyber organisms. They don't take AA's. So the entire concept of changing batteries really doesn't even apply here, and the government doesn't even need a quarantine to do drone maintenance. They've been doing it right above your nose your entire life. This is our official statement on the matter. Stay healthy and stay woke.
In a similar fashion to the mega viral tweets, the movement's message was heavily pushed by just immaculate memes. They were covered by medium-sized creators just all across the web.
Birds aren't real. Are you freaking kidding me? How deep does this go?
In July of 2020, another billboard went up, but this time it was in Los Angeles, California, and the movement continued to face criticism, like from this broken chicken wing.
Can someone please explain to me if this is real or not, because I don't.
Massive strides were made in September when the movement as a whole announced that they were running for US president. Now this would be a first, right? Like usually it's just one old bag of bones that I know I could beat in a fist fight. But you'll never believe what happens next. Like go ahead, try and guess. I'll wait. Oh my god, that is so cool. How did you know that in February a new egg was hatched that helped justify the whole movement when Netflix dropped a documentary series called Spycraft?
Hey guys, apparently this is a Netflix documentary that proves that bird drone surveillance is happening. So just wanted to watch it for the first time on camera. First reaction.
One country that's collecting detailed profiles on all of its citizens by applying recent advances in artificial intelligence and data mining to their surveillance capabilities is China. Along with their robust arsenal of surveillance devices, they've also developed drones that look like real birds.
The movement had finally been legitimized by mainstream media, which it had been battling for its whole life, like a bad case of teenage acne that just followed it into adulthood. This high wouldn't last long though, because the Newsweek article defaming Peter and the movement as a whole would be released just 1 month later. To quote the pilot of the Hindenburg, the world's largest aircraft, "Oh shit, it's going down." Oh boy, let me tell you, shit went down. Shit went down onto the faces of the helpless observers below. Mainstream media and #Poultrygate. Penned by the author with probably the most suspicious name ever, James Crowley's article, it just immediately starts taking shots at an inconsistency that appears in other articles that have been written about the movement. That is that the website states that the whole movement began in the 1970s before the literal slaughter happened, but Peter told Newsweek that it actually began in the 1950s, while the whole bird swap event occurred from 1959 to 2001. The rest of the article basically depicts the conversations that the author had with Peter behind the scenes, one of which being, quote, "In regards to our movement being a joke or for real, that is the very question that our post-truth era comedy project thrives within." So that's a clear-cut chicken, right? Like he said it was a joke. Well, hold on there, Toucan Sam, okay? After that email was sent, Peter blamed technology, saying, "Whenever I type in real movement, no comedy involved, it always autocorrects to something like meta conspiracy parody movement showcasing post-truth era absurdity," which is honestly understandable. That happens to me all the time.
I'm breaking up with you.
No ducking way.
See? This is why I'm breaking up with you. Why can't you ever be serious about anything?
As far as those miraculous memes that I had mentioned earlier, those were spoken about as well. It's maintained that comedy is just a way of reaching people. The meme is just the modern day parable. Citing the communications to the Bird Brigade, which are the movement's supporters, saying, quote, "Comedy is the most disarming form of communication," which I agree with. I've always been in a relationship where I'm the joke, and that's why we have such good communication. Apparently the Newsweek article pissed someone off because on March 18th, they released an official statement starting with a very pungent quote cited from brainyquote.com. The statement basically denounces the Newsweek article as quote-unquote journalistic gaslighting, but claims that there's some truth involved, like the fact that big tech is in bed with the government, and we are being surveilled, most likely by 12 billion birds simultaneously, and also my neighbor Frank. They didn't really include that part, but I'm kind of tired of him looking in my window trying to see my rooster. Frank, what the fuck? Stop it, Frank! I'll kill you! Sorry, I'm back. Now the final two paragraphs hit really hard, one of which stating that the movement is quickly approaching a critical juncture. As the movement grows, a massive amount of classified information has been leaked to the organization by whistleblowers nationwide. They promise a massive leak of documents coming soon. Now this, building up to it, would be known as Poultrygate. Oh boy howdy, it must have been slow at Newsweek, the organization where they've been horribly wrong on multiple occasions, and where no one knows why it exists anymore, because they followed up to the Birds Aren't Real article just a couple days later. The first half of the article basically recounts the statement, but then follows up with, quote, Birds Aren't Real has also repeatedly linked the Newsweek story, which also hints that they're not actually outraged by the piece. Oh yeah, that makes everything so much better. I'm going to be linking all of these articles and the documents and stuff like that down below, so you can get your little dirty peepers and chicken fingers all over them. Crowley finishes off this article saying that even though the movement claims that it's a legitimate cause and a quote facts organization, it reads something like that of a QAnon conspiracy theory, which, if you remember, are those far right goofballs who have just had way too much birdseed.
Newsweek. You've messed with the wrong movement. This week, corrupt journalist James Crowley wrote an article attempting to defame our organization. Let us be clear. You will be on the wrong side of history. It is clear that Big Bird is filling your pockets. Even after our official statement correcting your lies, you released another article, further pushing your hideous agenda. We will not stand for the swamp media trying to destroy our cause. You have no idea what is coming. We have uncovered hundreds of emails that will alter American history. Will you publish those, James? Only time will tell. Next week, the files will be released. Poultrygate is imminent.
The week following this release was just jam-packed with messages of impending Poultrygate. If any of you are familiar with the enigma that is Martin Cabello, you'll love this interaction between him and Peter as he was trying to spread his message.
Kids believing it. And the problem, I mean, literally, you speak this bullshit and you get kids believing it.
This is my truth, Martin. This is my truth. Just like you have your truth and you spout out what you think is true.
Now this was just the tip of the celebrity iceberg. As it would become known throughout the rest of this historical week, many other people had their hands in the chicken broth. Clay Aiken, second place, first loser in American Idol 2003. Some political fools, some poor guy, and the Zodiac Killer. Up until this point, I was just a goofy bystander. That is, until March 31st when this story was posted. The following is an accurate representation of my interaction with the owner of this email address. Subject, Poultry Poker. I need answers. Sent from my phone. Answers to what now? How did you get this email? Ted, why are you trying to fool the public? When will you tell them? We know Poultrygate is coming. Also, unrelated, are you the Zodiac too? It would make sense, TBH. Take a long walk off, Tyler, and log off my page. Finally, the day was here. April 3rd, 2021. The day the movement had been waiting for. The documents would be revealed to all, and the world would be changed forever. At 4:20 p.m., the documents went live with the description that was written by someone within the organization. But wait, just minutes later, there was a technical issue and the documents were taken down. Big Tech had gotten to Poultrygate, silencing them for the time being. All we have is the information, including the big name cowards that were involved, including Bill Gates, Ted Cruz, Clay Aiken, and Oprah Winfrey. Additionally, we have information on a government program that had been hollowing out countless mountains within the United States and filling their cavernous innards with bird building factories. However, possibly the biggest revelation and a huge doozy to come from this document is a major arguing point for many of the movement's criticizers, and that is the idea that there are still living birds in the United States somewhere. At these farms, the government continues to breed real and organic chickens. The reasoning is unknown, besides that it has to do with pleasure. After a while, the documents did go live again. This time, though, I was able to download them, which was probably a little too risky, and I wouldn't be surprised if I start getting pop-ups for hot single milfs in my area. But hey, Finally, some cluck and affection, am I right? What I saw was 17 pages of obscure conversational chaos. Ted Cruz commissioned Ty Pennington of Extreme Home Makeover fame to hollow out and design the inside of Guadalupe Peak for the bird factories for a total of $50 million, nay, $80 million in taxpayer money. That is, after he's done doing interior design work for the Bush's doomsday bunkers. Honestly though, talk about outdated. Within the walls of the mountain machining monster, on the wishes of Teddy Cruz, was to be some laboratories for genetic experimentation on humans and birds to create hybrid creatures. The fever dream has just started, folks. Do not have an egg yet, because I don't have my heating lamps. In the midst of anti-avian discussions, there was some playful banter and a discussion between Teddy and Kevin Sorbo, who is an American actor mostly known for his role in Bernie the Dolphin 1 and Bernie the Dolphin 2. Apparently, Teddy has some juicy ideas for a cinematic universe written by Frank Darabont, writer of The Green Mile. Fingers crossed. After some heated discussions revolving around discrediting the movement some more, Teddy Boy here ran into some technical issues with a book order, and then verbally assaulted Mike Tyson after mistaking him for the Tyson Food Company. To further Bill and Ted's wild adventure, Mr. Cruz begins discussions via email with an alien species known as the Solarians. He's told that he can ask them anything, in which he tries to broker a deal for oil and then declines to help save the world. Typical Ted. Apparently, Cruz Master Ted was too busy. Finally, a breakthrough comes at the end of the document. Ted emails a group box named the Poultry Party about a party coming up on Wednesday, where they will have real chickens. These chickens would be plucked from the underground cellars, where they probably live very happy and healthy lives. Wink. As far as Oprah's involvement though, I guess she just invited people when she wasn't allowed to invite people, but I don't really blame her. That's in her nature. She's Oprah Winfrey. While this whole situation may seem like a joke, which many people are certain of, what's scary about the whole thing is that it's really not that far from reality. There's some blurry lines that this movement, parody or not, dances upon like some horny little beaked boy trying to find love. In the initial Newsweek article, Peter states, quote, "I think that everyone deep down can identify and relate to the fact that we are being surveilled. While it may or may not be by 12 billion birds simultaneously, one can't deny that the amount of our privacy is rapidly diminishing. Most people are aware of the bird drones that China deployed to observe their ever so happy population, but are you aware of some of the shit the CIA has done? According to declassified CIA records that were released in 2019, the CIA had developed a Dragonfly drone in the early 1970s. The Dragonfly drone could fly about 650 feet or the lengths of 2 football fields, stay airborne for 60 seconds, and had a data range of 350 feet. So theoretically, someone could fly this Dragonfly, land somewhere, and then just sit and observe and transmit data, bringing a whole new definition to being a fly on the wall. The prototype was deemed successful in 1974, and the general public was told that it was not used on them, but it's not much of a stretch to believe that something better is out there today and in use on the public. Okay, so you're thinking, oh, well, it's a bug and a robot. Obviously, both of those don't do well with water, so I'm just going to move underwater and start a whole new civilization there, and I'll be fine. I say go for it, but what are you going to do about Charlie, the CIA's catfish that they made in the 1990s? What if I told you that it didn't matter if it was real or not? Throughout history, there's been so many situations where the attention of the general public and the mainstream media has been captured by something that turns out to not even be real.
Hundreds of thousands of fans have looked at her internet videos. But some of the fans started getting suspicious. Was Bree, Lonely Girl 15, real or a hoax?
Maybe in an age where everything is going wrong, we just need something so outlandish that we can shift our focus to. This is where crazy conspiracy theories, goofs, gaffs, and ARGs all come together to take us away. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing. I appreciate it, and it does help the channel a lot. So thank you, and I will see you all in the next video.